Here's the question. What's going on inside the minds of top achievers that cause them to make extraordinary breakthroughs both personally and professionally? My name is Tim Shurr, and I invite you to join me as we take a deep dive into the unconscious mind and discover how to transform your biggest dreams into a reality. Welcome to the How to Be Mesmerizing podcast. Hey everybody, welcome to How to Be Mesmerizing. It's Tim Shurr, and we have a special treat for you. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Hopkins is in the house. Tom, welcome to the show.
Oh, Tim, it's so nice to get a chance to share with people like you who go back a long time with my training. So it's super.
Oh, this is just a real treat. So if you don't know for some reason, Tom Legends is probably the world's best sales trainer. In fact, he has spent years and millions of people have benefited from his incredible trainings. And he doesn't just teach sales, he builds sales champions. And so, Tom, I'm really excited to learn from you. I know that one of the special things that you do is you create acronyms, to help people remember all the knowledge that you have. So, and you have one for us today. So I'm going to turn the stage over to you and the mic over to you and share with us what you've got.
Well, I've always, Tim, believed in acronyms. And of course, anyone who's now watching or has been through my boot camp or 3-day program, they know that we have an acronym for memorization to remember the concept. And you're right. Many years ago, when I first founded the company, it was called Champions Unlimited because I had a desire to teach people in sales, marketing, and business how to not just be good or maybe pretty good, but to become what we call a champion. And you can't fight that term. And so what I did was I took the word champion, and as an acronym, I think each letter triggers a quality, a concept of what we could put on a stage and say that is a champion. So I'll cover these real quick. But the first letter, of course, is C, which I have always found that the top producers live with C every day, which is being courageous. Mm-hmm. And by being courageous, I think there's 5 words that they have exemplified. And the 5 words are, you do what you fear most. And this was true in my career. I got into real estate at age 19. I'd been a construction worker. I didn't go to college. I had 3 months of college, and that wasn't for me. Mm-hmm. And so I got into real estate at 19, which again was unheard of back then. It was normally a middle-aged man's business, but I got my license, and luckily I found a broker that would give me a chance and hire me. Mm-hmm. And I didn't do well for the first 4.5, 5 months. I was just a kid. People come into the office looking for a home or a property, and they look at me when they meet me and they go, this is just a teenager. What the heck? But I did my best to learn. And fortunately, I did what I hope the folks watching and viewing with us today will do. And you have to find mentors to become a part of your life. And that's one of the blessings I've had, is to be a mentor for, we've had almost 5 million people attend my seminars in the last almost 40 years, which I hate to say. But anyway, I find that the champions I've ever met, they really do what they fear most. Yeah. And that's kind of what happened to me. I was in real estate and been about 4 months, hadn't done much. And my broker, who had just bought a brand new car, he said, hey, let's go for a ride. Well, I thought, fine, I like that. And so he drives Tim 3 miles up into a residential area, and he stops the car. I says, what are you doing? He says, Tom, you have been sitting in the office waiting for business. It's not going to come to you. Now you get out, we're 3 miles from the office, and if you'll just knock on these doors of all these people, let them know you're in real estate, you will find someone who at this point in their life is either wanting to sell their home or buy another home. Well, of course, he drove off. And of course, I used every curse word I could think of because that's how upset I was. And here I'm up in a damn strange area and I have to knock on these doors.
Wow.
And it was funny in the beginning. I didn't know what to say. And he told me this, though, Tim. He said, I promise you, if you'll do 100 doors, you'll have one very qualified future client. Well, I scoffed at that, of course, but I started knocking, getting a little better with what to say. And I hit the 64th door, and the man that answered the door, I told him I'm in real estate and wondered if you thought of listing or selling your home or maybe purchasing another home, blah, blah, blah. He goes, are you in real estate? I said, well, yeah. He says, you have a license? I says, well, yeah, of course. He goes, stay here. And then he turns and he calls his wife, honey, come to the door. And of course, now I'm terrified. What is going on? And his wife comes to the door. She goes, well, you are in real estate. I says, yes, ma'am, I am. She goes, well, you're an answer to prayer. And of course, I'm taken back. What? She goes, we got notice that my husband has to move and leave myself and 3 children because they're transferring him with the company he works with, and he has to go to keep his job.
Yep.
And we were so nervous about finding a real estate agent. So you're an answer to prayer. Well, of course, I said, hallelujah. Here I am. What's so funny, Tim, is I not only got that dang listing, I found a buyer and I marketed my own listing, which is a larger piece of the commission. And in a way, that was the start because I started letting all the neighbors know around this house that I was the person that found the buyer. And sure enough, I started getting calls, and all of a sudden I started getting listings. All of a sudden I'm learning what to say to people.
Right.
And all of a sudden it started building. And of course I worked terribly hard. Many people don't realize this, but my first 3 years full-time realtor, I took 3 days off, which were Christmas days. And I was the first one in the office and normally the last one to get home.
Wow.
Because I found over the years that to build a momentum in a business, you have to commit a tremendous amount of effort to get it going.
Yeah.
And of course, after my 4th year, because I took real good care of my clients, all of a sudden I'm building referrals. And after my 3rd year, I never had to prospect because of how I handled my people, built this business, and they would send people to me. Yeah. And so that's why when I teach, like we are right now, take good care, do more than people expect, give more than they expect. And then also become a follow-up specialist where you keep in touch, follow up till they buy or die, which in a way is how you do build a successful career in any type of marketing and sales. Yeah. Yeah. So the C is courageous. The H in champion stands for honesty. And I totally believe that this is critical for a long-term success, that you've got to be honest with what you say to people. And if you tell the truth at 10 in the morning, you don't have to worry what you said at 3 in the afternoon. Nice. So I have found that this H of honesty is so important because there's so many people in a way that hear of a person in sales, marketing, and there's this feeling like, well, they'll say anything to make a commission or make a sale, which is in a way somewhat true. But for the real champions, they are more concerned with serving and making people happy, building a clientele following, and that's how they work.
Yeah.
So courageous, C, H, honesty. And of course, the A word is so foundational for a life of success. And that, of course, stands for attitude. I've always had a little feeling you'll determine your altitude based on your daily attitude. And I've always had that philosophy where you've got to be pumped and excited. And I have said this over the years that hopefully whoever is watching us now enjoys what they do. They enjoy, they like, they're happy with what they're doing, what they're marketing, if they are in marketing. But I found that was one of the keys to my success is I all of a sudden start falling in love with helping families find a home. And I can't tell you how many times I'd go into a city. And of course, now I'm not selling real estate. I'm in the seminar business doing what I do now. And I go into a room and a man or woman would come up at a break and they'd say something like this, Tom, I came by because in I won't say 60 something, we walked into your office. We didn't have any money. We wanted to rent a home. And you were so strong in convincing us that now's the time to buy. And you were so good in creative financing that you sure enough got us into a home. And then, of course, he said, we paid $18,500 for this home in Southern California. And we just sold it for $430,000. And this money is the major part of our retirement to live in dignity financially the rest of our lives because you wanted us to say yes to owning and not renting a home. And of course, those are the type of things, Tim, that I think have kept me excited, motivated. In my business today, I have people come to the seminars and a lot of them will bring their teenagers. They say, Tom changed our life 40 years ago, 30 years ago, and you're going to listen to him, blah, blah, blah. And of course, the kids in the beginning are, oh, hell, we'll have to go. Mom and Dad brought us. And normally I can get him into it in the seminar. But so that attitude is everything. And then the M in champion is motivated. We have to stay motivated and excited.
Yeah.
And this is something I think we have to work on because you're going to have cycles. Not only, Tim, in my belief is life is a huge cycle. It's a cycle of periods where everything is perfect and going great. And then all of a sudden the cycle changes and everything's going to pot. You can't get anything going. You're not making any money. And I think one of the keys to long-term success is to not only stay motivated, but keep your attitude and your activity levels up during times that slow down.
Yeah.
And this is something that some people have a challenge with because they get a slow month or a couple months where they're not making much and they get their negativity going up and they quit thinking they have to go out and prospect. And I've had a philosophy that if everything gets slow, live by what I call the Goya formula, Goya, Goya, which is get off your anatomy and get out and talk to more people. Because it is a numbers business in life, in business. And I think the companies that you look at that are huge today, everyone goes out and talks to lots of people and creates lots of activity, excuse me, which leads to productivity. So attitude. And then, of course, the M is motivated. You've got to always stay motivated to help more people own real estate. And of course, I will always believe And of course, in my seminar business today, I'll have a room of 500, 1,000, and there'll be all walks of life, all ages. They'll have computer sales and insurance sales and this and that. And I have to be careful because I am prejudiced, because that 8 years in real estate changed my life.
Sure.
And I've always had to kind of say, you know, I can't overdo it, because there's people who are bringing their people to see me and they don't want them thinking about real estate. So I have to handle that subtly and so forth.
Yeah.
But
well, your lessons apply and carry over anyway.
yeah,
Just in general, not even just professionally. I mean, personally, you know, having honesty and being, you know, courageous and keeping yourself motivated. And when there's down times, how can you turn that into the opportunities? And, you know, and sometimes when you're successful, you don't have any time. And when things slow down, you know, that's a huge opportunity for you to take care of yourself or spend more time with your family. Or, you know, when COVID hit and we had a lot of, all my keynotes disappeared. Yours did too, I'm sure. Then at least the live ones. Then, yeah. What do? Well, in that space, I created our first Legend Summit, you know, and brought all these amazing people together. And now we're about to do our third Legend Summit on October 9th, which I'm super excited that you're going to be a part of.
yes,
So,
I am.
and that created, yeah, and that happened in a down cycle, right? That happened when things were down. And so, you know, I love finding the creative opportunity in any situation.
Well, and I really feel that's what you also see. And as a champion, you also are mentioning the word P, which is persistent.
Yes.
And you must be a follow-up specialist. I mean, you have no idea how many people in sales have a good future client, a good financial opportunity, if they'll just keep in touch, follow up, keep the basics, send the thank you notes, do all those little things. And I was a fanatic in this, Tim. You know, if I had you as a client, I would not only know you, your wife's names, all your children, I would get everybody's birthday. And of course, I used to tell the husband, I'd say, you know, John, just between you and I, if you'll write down the birthdays of your kids, I just like to send them a little something. And it was amazing how much business I got, because I was probably the only real estate agent that sent the children on their birthday a nice little gift. And it wasn't expensive, you know, something they could use. But this is what I think I built my business on, was keeping in touch, following up.
Yeah.
And if I got a lead and I got someone as a client, believe me, I would follow up. I had a philosophy that they would hear from me so often that I would send them, you know, thank you notes or all the birthday cards. I always found out what the wedding date was for the husband and wife, their anniversary.
Yeah.
And I would probably be the only person 3 days before that anniversary to send them a very nice card, just saying, hey, congratulations on being happily married. In today's world, that's a real challenge, and you've done well. So have a great anniversary.
Wow.
And again, these are those little things that I think separated me from just someone out there trying to make a sale or make some money. And this is what I think the philosophy has to be today, is to be special, be different, do what other people don't do, and keep in touch, follow up. And these are the things that I think allowed me, thank God, to build my real estate career, which is how I got into what I do. Because of the number of homes that I sold. One year I had 365 homes sold in 365 days, averaging, of course, not every day, but averaging one a day.
Wow.
And when that got out, that, you know, they're bringing in a young guy, I think I was 24, and they said, we are bringing in a guy that's only 24 years of age. It's his fifth year in real estate. And last year he sold 365 homes, which if you compute it, that's averaging one a day. And of course, there would be a gasp in the audience when he'd say that, because it had never been done. I don't know if anyone's done 365 homes a year today. There probably is. But yeah, I busted my backside to build my business. And my life changed when I said to myself, I've got to teach others. They have got to learn the words I say, how I present, how I qualify people before I start suggesting what they invest in. But I think these are the things that were fortunate in my life. And so persistent, follow up, keep in touch.
Yeah.
And the I in champion is integrity. By integrity, I think the best thing I can say is treat everyone the way you'd like to be treated. And try with a concept of always doing the right thing. And in this philosophy, you'll be amazed how you'll build a referral base, which again should be the goal of anyone in sales and marketing, to never have to prospect after a few years because of the tremendous following of people who believe in you, that like and trust you, that want to work with you, don't have to, but want to. And I think that really comes from the integrity that you have with people. And then the O in champion is ownership. As I've written here, you'll make a great living listing and selling real estate, but the real greatness, I think, comes from owning it. And many years ago, I was just a kid, and I went to a seminar, and this is in Southern California. And this is back, believe it or not, that there was very few homes between Los Angeles and San Diego. And the seminar guy said, I promise you this, in the next 20 to 30 years, California between San Diego and LA and San Diego will be packed with homes.
Yeah.
Which luckily I believed him and made some very nice investments in real estate in California before I, of course, moved here to open my business in Phoenix. But so important that people realize that you have to really own what you sell. And if it's insurance, you make sure you have a good amount so you can come from your heart. You say, my family and I rest so easily at night because years ago I decided to do what I'm asking you to do, make an investment in an insurance program that'll give you a lifestyle in your golden years to live in dignity, financially secure. And these are the type of things I think we have to, transmit to people. And the N in champion stands for non-judgmental. Non-judgmental.
Yeah.
And this is another thing I find. I used to watch when I was starting to make some money in real estate. I would watch how some of the salespeople would see the car that would drive in, the age of it, how old it was, how good a shape it was in, then the way they were dressed. And they would judge them just by what they would visually see. And I found that you can't judge people by that. I had a man, Bob Wyatt, and he invested in more real estate with me than any of my other clients. And I'll never forget the day he drove in an old Chevy, dressed very humbly. As he's walking in, we had an up system where whoever's on the floor, meaning up, meets the client. Well, as soon as he parks his old beat up car and starts walking in, all the other salespeople are going, oh, Hopkins, this is your walk in. Boy, he's got nothing. And of course, they didn't realize that this man was so wealthy, he didn't need to drive a big car. He didn't care about what the clothes were, but he started buying gas station corners from me
Hmm.
in California.
Wow.
And it was just amazing because, he trusted me to the point where if I went out and did research and talked to other brokers and found a corner lot that could be built with a gas station,
Hmm.
he was right there and we would buy it. And then luckily I tied up with a company that would build gas stations.
Wow.
And it was a great relationship. But here it comes back though. Had I judged him and not really given all the follow-up, all the service, all the way you treat people, I probably would have never had that huge client and all those properties.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the S in champions stands for service. And I really believe that if you will serve people, you will sell more. So think of serving, not selling, and the selling will be a product of your service, which I hope that makes sense because that's kind of the way I have always lived. So those are the words: courageous, honest, attitude, motivated, persistent, integrity, ownership, non-judgmental, and service. Now, does that trigger any concept or question that you might add to that, Tim?
Well, that was an extraordinary masterclass right there. I mean, that really was incredible. You hit all those key qualities that allow someone to stand a cut above the rest, right? So
Exactly.
you have to face your fears. I always say that our biggest breakthroughs are hidden in the places we don't want to go. You need to be honest, and say and do what you say you're going to do so that people can trust you, and having an attitude and keeping yourself motivated is something that also, you said you were the first to show up, you were the last to go home.
Right.
There was a reason you were successful, and you didn't start out that way, right? You had to train yourself to do that. Having a mentor. I mean, there was so much wisdom in what you just shared. I mean, this is truly a path to be successful and happy with anything you do in life.
No, I totally agree. And I just have a feeling, Tim, that if people will work harder on themselves than they do on their job to become a person that people not only like and trust, but want to work with and listen to. And that's kind of how I was so fortunate after, again, a while to have clients bring people into me. Clients would call me up and say, Tom, my uncle or my aunt, they're going to be wanting to move out here. And we certainly want you to work with them because of how you've helped us. And I think that's a highlight in your life when people respect you for the job you've done, and to where they really not only like and trust you, but they feel like I'm going to help you build your business.
Yeah.
And that was true, in my business. And today, of course, in the seminar business, after all these years, it's amazing how many parents bring their kids and teenagers, and they come and make them go through the workbook at the program, and take the notes. And then, of course, I get letters, Tom, I brought my son, he was 22 and just out of college. And I brought him and we got him into our company in sales, and he listened to your CD. Well, back then it was tapes.
Sure.
But it could be tapes or CDs. Today it's CDs.
Mm-hmm.
And he would listen to you in his car every day. And he's now the top person in the whole company. And I guess that's the payment again to a teacher. When you can have a positive effect on a person's life, to where because of the time being it shorter, a whole 3-day program, whatever, they're better off because of what you've done.
Yeah.
And that to me is when you're really getting the payment. If you're a true educator or teacher, and I know probably right now there are people watching or involved in our training here
Mhm.
who have been in education, who have been teachers, who've been in front of young folks with a chance to positively affect their life.
Mhm.
And I think it's so critical, if that's true, that we always do everything we can to get them to be excited about learning what we're teaching
Yeah.
so that they open their minds, their hearts, and they want to, in a way, duplicate what we have taught them out with other folks. And that's kind of always been my goal.
Yeah.
And I've also had a philosophy. I wrote this down, that champions in the field of real estate live by these 12 words. And years ago, many years ago, I was young guy, and I had gone to a seminar, and the seminar instructor said, go back to the Chamber of Commerce in your city. They will know the people that are the most successful in business,
Mhm.
and find out the people in your city who are not only financially successful, but who have built companies. And normally, these people who've achieved a high level of accomplishment, they really enjoy sharing what they do and so forth. So that's kind of what I did, Tim. I went back to the company I worked for, which back then was one of the largest real estate companies in California.
Mhm.
And I found out who was the highest income earner. And it was a woman named Rose Lane.
Mhm.
And she was the top income earner, maybe, of everyone in California in real estate.
Wow.
And I, sure enough, I was just now 19.
Hmm.
I called her up, Mrs. Lane, my name is Tom Hopkins. I've just gotten into real estate and not done well, but I've watched how successful you are.
Wow.
And I was hoping maybe I could meet you. And she was so gracious. She said, sure, young man.
Aw.
Well, I went and we clicked. I mean, she saw the potential that I had. Didn't know I had it. And God bless her. She said, sure, you can come with me. And when I take a listing, you can get in the car and I'll make you a trainee, and you
Wow.
can watch me show homes.
Wow.
Yeah. And I did. I lived, I would say, 3 to 4 months on every one of her listing appointments. I would sit and, like a sponge. Now, we didn't have any recording devices back then.
Mhm.
I know it sounds funny, but I would take notes like crazy. Everything she said.
Yeah.
When she'd show a home and I'm in the car, I'm making notes like crazy, because I really believe another key to success is copy someone who is successful.
Yeah.
They couldn't be here income wise. They couldn't be here on the top of their productivity and company if they haven't, achieved a high level of accomplishment and success. And so that's one thing I've tried to teach people. Find the most successful people you can and literally beg them to let you watch them, let you listen to them.
Yeah.
And of course, today we have access to such wonderful training. I so hope all the folks that are enjoying or listening with us today will turn their cars into classrooms. You'll spend 5,000 hours in your lifetime driving.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't be just driving time, it should be learning time. And one thing nice about that is, once you drive a car for more than 3 months, there's no thinking to drive. It's
Mhm.
totally subconscious. So
Yes.
you can really focus on what's being said. So you can, I will call it, turn your car into a classroom to where you drive, and that driving time is learning time.
Yeah.
And of course, one thing that everybody listening or with us today, you have access to so many good seminar people. NSA, National Speakers Association, has got so many wonderful speakers who have all their CDs and books and stuff. And I do, of course, as well. But I just think this is something that people need to do. Become motivated to learn from those who have achieved a higher level of success than you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do, you'll become like a sponge,
Mm-hmm.
taking in these ideas, these concepts.
Yeah.
It's kind of like here I'm watching you take notes of our talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking to myself, here's a man interviewing me who's taken notes of what I'm presenting, which again is such class. But I think that's what we have to do. We have to become students of those who have achieved a high level of accomplishment and
Yes.
take their ideas, their concepts, and make them a part of you, which I think if you do that, all this short time we're spending will be very worthwhile.
Oh, Tom, such sage advice. I mean, I was one of those kids going to the library getting my Tom Hopkins cassette tapes. I couldn't afford to buy them. I didn't have any money growing up, and so I would go to the library and I would get them and listen to them, and I'd have my Walkman and I'd put them in there and I'd walk, and listen, and it was just amazing. You have to be a student of success, and if I didn't have any friends that were business owners or leaders or entrepreneurs. I didn't even know what an entrepreneur was. So I found people that I saw on TV or that I heard about, like you. So how do I get access? And now you're right. It's so easy to be able to jump on your smartphone and have access. And of course, everybody, Tom has an incredible training set of training resources that you can get on Amazon now. So I would go to Amazon and type in Tom Hopkins, and you will see, and Amazon makes everything so affordable that, what would have cost you thousands of dollars, you can get it for a fraction of the price. All his training programs, his audio programs, his books, stuff like that. I'm partial to the audio programs because I could listen to you talk for hours. Just the stories you have and the jokes you tell, and and it's just you're so engaging, right? And so I highly recommend everybody go to Amazon and check out your resources, because everything you're talking about is as relevant today as it was 30 years ago. And I mean, even more relevant, I think, when in an age where, people are going fast and they're not taking time to follow up, they're not being follow-up specialists. People barely say thank you anymore. And so this is such sage advice, and I hope that everybody has been taking notes and writing things down, and we'll go through this over and over, because you really have put together, in a very short, laser-focused amount of time, a very powerful masterclass.
Well, I appreciate that. And, it's so true. Amazon it's just been so great. They said, I know you're winding down my career, which I am. And they said, we really want to make sure that all the people that enjoy what we offer get a chance. And you're right. They're offering it. And I so hope the folks listening will realize we had such a short time here. But learning how to ask better questions, becoming a better listener, focusing on how you can implement what they're saying into your presentation for their benefit. All of these little concepts, if you add them to your life, you'll be totally amazed at how successful you can become. And of course, if Tim and I are a part of that in your life, then we're doing the right thing. And I've always tried to live with that concept. Do the right thing and things will be good for everyone.
Yeah.
And make your life a win-win. Win for you and your family, a win for anyone that does business with you or your company. And with that philosophy, you'll have a long and very happy life. I'm sure you'll agree.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't have said it better. That is absolutely spectacular. And if you want to learn more from Tom, he's going to be having a legendary conversation coming up on October 9th, when we've got some other spectacular people as well. Michael Gerber is going to be there, and Michael Norton. And I mean, just some real all-stars. Everybody's a headliner in the Legend Summit. So, Tom, this has been very special. It's been a treat for me and a treat for everybody else who's been a fan of yours for so long. So we really appreciate you being a mesmerizing guest today.
And Tim will give him a great time on October 9th. And all the best to you and all that you have watched. We so hope we've given you an idea or two to have a better life. And if we did, then we're doing the right thing. All the best, Tim. We'll
Thank
talk to you
you.
soon.
Absolutely. Thanks everybody for being a part of this today. We really appreciate you being here, and we will see you next time. Thanks everybody. Hey, it's Tim. You ever wonder why so many talented, hardworking entrepreneurs and business owners struggle with inconsistent self-belief or high stress or procrastination or self-sabotage? Well, the answer may surprise you, and the solution is already inside of you. I've been searching for the answers to this for decades, and I found them, and I put it into a new program called The Power of Your Unconscious Mind, Mental Secrets for Accelerating Success. And because you're a listener, I want to give you a free VIP copy. Head over to powermindsetprogram.com. That's powermindsetprogram.com and grab your copy today.